Hey, David.
Hey, Mike. Can you just talk about how your installations, how you're going to go this week and next week in the OTAs leading up to the mini camp?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, really, our process is very similar to the past. You know, offensively and defense. Defensively, it takes 8 installs to get everything in. So today is install number 2. So we'll get 3 this week, 3 next week, and then we'll get 2 in the mini camp. So, but that's the layout's very similar to the past, but we're working 3 consecutive days, all 3 weeks, which is we just got to be smart with that.
And you're just adding or refining offensively, but you're doing some different things defensively. Do you structure practice differently because of that?
No, we need to put it in all the situations. You know, the goal for every offseason program has always been tailored to the rookies, to the young players, and even more so the second-year players. And you know, what's laid out and directed is, you know, between now and the end of minicamp, our players have to have everything that they're going to be asked to do in training camp, because if they don't have it before they leave here, then they're going to be behind in training camp. Plus, you have the 5-week period that, you know, our guys will be working out together. So we want to make sure that we have everything in there, so then, you know, through their individual external work, that they have, you know, all the tools to get ready. So just frankly, is how I've always done it. But, you know, the time period's a little tighter than, you know, the past, and the staff has done a tremendous job getting ready to put all this in, because we got to make sure our young guys can not only speak the same language as our veterans, but be able to interact and, you know, cadence and all those things, getting off the ball, you know, making adjustments and everything in real time.
Clarence Hill Forward start talking about Micah back in town, but not. Did you expect him back for OTAs? How much communication did guys had, and how much is he missing with Zimmer's installing the new defense?
Well, you know, Micah's here in town. He's been in and out. He's obviously had some unique travel opportunities. He was here Friday. Spent a lot of time with him on Friday. He actually looks great. He's in excellent shape. So I know what he's been doing, where he's been doing it, and so forth. So he's, you know, obviously, I mean, hell, he's went all the way to Tokyo to work out. So, you know, so he's definitely getting ready physically. But, you know, he's been having, you know, one-on-one meetings, you know, as far as, you know, within the structure of our operation here in the off-season program. So, you know, he hasn't missed anything as far as what's been installed.
Do you expect him next week?
Yes, I think there's going to be some time. We'll have him here next week.
Mike, Todd Archer with ESPN. Without CeeDee here, what's the opportunity that's lined for the other receivers down the line?
Oh, it's big. I think anytime you have an opportunity as a young receiver to get reps, it's a huge opportunity, especially if it's with the first group. So I mean, it just, you know, you could see, you know, both JT and Jay Brooks is his current nickname. So those 2 guys had really nice practices yesterday. So I think just anytime you get those extra reps, it's great for our young guys. That's good for our quarterbacks.
The development of the group in particular behind CeeDee, how key is that without Gallup being around this year, that you need guys to come through?
Well, it's always key this time of year, because let's be honest, if you look at the ability to practice and train, the perimeter group, particularly the offensive group, because the defensive perimeter group are not allowed to engage, you know, in the routes and so forth, as far as and compete for balls. So the one part of your football team that has the best opportunity to get as much live work, full speed work, is definitely your offensive perimeter group. So, and that's, you know, that's part of how things are designed with the current rules and so forth, and it's important for our guys to take advantage of it.
John Machado with The Athletic. Can you just give us an update on what Trayvon Diggs and Marvion Overshown are able to do?
Yeah, it looked great. I'll be just really staying on time with their process. You know, Trayvon's, you know, he's out there. You know, he's hitting a 4-day a week. You know, he's working primarily still with Britt Brown and in the weight room with Harold. I know Al is obviously spending time with him when he's here. So, yeah. Demos actually looks really good. So, to be honest, we're just respecting the timeline. So, I would, you know, if I was a doctor, which I'm not, I'd say he's a little ahead of schedule.
Do you anticipate them being ready for the start of training camp?
It'll definitely be a conversation. Yeah.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. Will you use all your OTA days this spring?
We'll use 3 this week. 3 next week in the 3-day minicamp.
When did you?
Good no answer, wasn't it? That's good.
No
Yeah,
answer.
I liked it too. Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, there you go. We got his approval. We can stop the press conference right now.
When did you embrace players missing the quote unquote voluntary workouts and that kind of thing to say this is the way of the world now?
It started in 2011, but definitely not to this extreme. I think the second one was 2020. I think it's gone to a different level. I think just the way the whole landscape of the league and the union and the changes they make. I mean, I think if you're ignorant to the externals, then I don't think you're being in touch with the way our guys and the professionals, players in the NFL are training. And and I talk about this quite often to the team and especially to our first-year players, the importance of the relationships that our current players already do have, and how fortunate we are to be in this great city of Dallas, particularly even just North Dallas, that they have so many resources to tie into. So, and I think that the older guys have paved the way. So we've always been in tune with what's available. Just for instance, the in-season. I mean, the state program of what we do here compared to there was feedback that was given from the veteran players of what they were already doing. Because I mean, in Green Bay, it's you don't have these number of resources, so we did so much more internally. Where here, a lot of our guys have a car wash to say of the things they do both. Not only here, but in relationship to how we do it here to what they do away, and to you just don't want to be doubling up on it either, too. So, so there's just a lot of communication between the strength staff, the the training staff, and frankly the coaches are involved in those conversations too.
Saadi's The Athletic. Mike, what's the evaluation process with Trey Lance? I mean, do you have to wait until preseason games to really get a good gauge on him, or do you do that throughout OTAs, training camp, and everything?
I mean, there's thresholds in development for every position. I mean, quarterback's no different, and Trey's no different. I mean, obviously he had a prior experience in San Francisco, so I mean that's obviously an experience that he'll always be able to draw from. And then we're involved in a different offense, and just the way the position's played, which is it's played differently for every quarterback and every organization. So my point is he's crossing the thresholds of training. I've been very, very pleased. The athletic ability is top notch. We've adjusted some things, in his, not only his motion, and I'm going to get into specifics of that, but you can see the improvement, the timing, and in young quarterbacks, and he's no different. He just need reps, and we're trying to get him as many reps as we can. Throughout this offseason program, and he will take a large part of the preseason. That's the design. So him and I talk about preseason quite often because, I mean, that's what we're building towards.
And your number 3 receiving option, we talked about Jalen
Number
Tolbert.
3, yep.
But with the tight end depth that you guys have, does that kind of factor in as well, where your number 3 receiver might come out of a different position given the depth that you guys have elsewhere?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, really, when we're going through right now, offense is really put in three categories. You have 1 back offense, 2 back offense, and no back offense. So, based off of who the number 2, 3, 4 tight end is, no different than receivers. They all need to learn to play both inside and out. It's a very important component of how we look at player acquisition as far as the players we select and how we want to play here. We don't want guys that just can only play one position. There are exceptions. I'm not ignorant to that, but the one thing we talk a lot about, when we talk about the roster is players. What are the 2 things he can do? And because when you get into the 53 and then you get down into the 48 for the weekly game, special teams usually factors in that. So yeah, so we're in a great spot because we got numbers and in depth. And we got a lot of guys will be fighting for those spots.
Nick Harris, DallasCowboys.com. What will Monty Smith's work look like over the course of the next couple of weeks, if any?
Well, he's still in the rehab group, so he'll be working primarily with our rehab guys, and then when he's done there, he'll obviously he's in all the meetings and does everything else.
Do you guys have an ideal weight for where y'all want him on the field?
I'm not going to put that out. Yeah, I won't even talk about my own weight, for God's sakes.
Mike. Mike McCarthy in Dallas Morning News. What sort of opportunity, if any difference to it, awaits these wide receivers who are here with CeeDee not being here? What in terms of opportunity, if games for reps and otherwise with Dak, do you see for them this spring?
Well, I think the ability to run routes in more often than they probably wouldn't. If CeeDee or based on who was in front of them. So the opportunity to play both inside and outside, also played the number 3 position. So I mean this is the time of year you want to see these guys if they can handle it. Because obviously if you play outside, you have less responsibility. The closer you get to the football, it doesn't matter what position you play, the more responsibility you have. That's the way the system's designed. It's the way it operates. So to see those guys playing in 1 spot, the 2 spot, the 3 spot, this is a great opportunity for those guys because obviously there's different route trees and menus.
And on the 90-man roster, I believe there are 4 empty roster spots.
Yeah.
What's influenced that? Why?
I think it's just kind of where we are. Like I said, we're never done. I actually met with Will for quite some time this morning. So yeah, it's just we got plenty really good players to practice and get ready. So just kind of where we are. We were 88 this time last year, weren't we?
I knew it wasn't this low, but yeah, that sounds right.
Okay.
Bria Maranthus, Cowboys SI. Obviously, Royce Freeman brings a lot of experience into the running back room. But what have been your early impressions of him?
Very, very impressed with him. I think just like anything, when you have the opportunity to play in a number of different systems, I was very impressed in how quickly he picked up the language. His football comes pretty easy to him. It's natural. You can always see that in the protection and in the run adjustments. So he's been an excellent addition.
Has anything surprised you about him?
He's bigger than I thought he was. So looks good.
Garrett
Podell, CBS Sports. Mike, you talked about wide receivers being able to get the most slide reps for the rookie offensive linemen. I know there's not as much contact, but what else can they get out of this period of the offseason in addition to obviously knowing the playbook?
Well, the biggest thing is the speed of it, and I'm not just talking about physically, I'm talking about mentally and the communication component of it, how fast he operates, the whole verbal, nonverbal. When you're in the classroom, you're making verbal adjustments and you're talking through things, and the reality of it in the real games, and it's nonverbal and has to be recognized and reacted to. So just getting a full speed feel of that, and this has kind of been normal. I thought we got off to an excellent start yesterday. I was very pleased with what we were able to accomplish in the first practice, but you'll start to see it, and we had a couple guys. Had pre-snap penalties, but as we get into install 2 and then third down comes on Thursday, so that's always a big day. Then red zone comes next Wednesday. So when you really start getting into those situations, and it's basically like a new game plan for every time you go out there. I want to see them handle the volume and the speed of how we operate, and stressing them is by design. So like anything, it starts up front.
Mike, with Dak and a year ago, you guys had minor changes that you put into the offense with you becoming the play caller and things like that. Where is he from then to now? I
don't know if I follow you on what do you mean minor changes?
Well, the changes that you guys made in the offense with you becoming the play call and tying the footwork better, more and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I would clearly. Just compared to this year, last year, I thought we made major changes, a lot more changes. Frankly, for the quarterbacks. And there was a lot of year one characteristics to how we went about it. So it's for all the positions. It's been refreshing, and I think there's been clarity. We've been able to cut the volume down from last year to this year of kind of going through that transition of prior to last year where are you going to keep this, or we're going to trying to find a balance of what we wanted to. Really focus on from a primary concept focus, and compared to also the things you want to carry for game plan specific. So being in year 2 of it, I think it's been a lot clearer. So we're actually more into the playing the game mindset now, where last year we were clearly in the install mode in the quarterback room now. So they pretty much have everything that's going in now, because they were all here for the concept teach phase in phase 1 and phase 2. So all this is really review for them. So now we're because just like anything with the quarterback play, you don't ever get the time to work on your individual stuff because you always have to work with the running backs, you're working with the tight ends, you're working with the receivers. So this time of year to really focus in on their fundamentals and see the corrections from last year to this year really gives them a chance to really fine-tune the footwork and some of the things you were talking about. So it gets us more into let's play the game mindset mode quicker, and at the end of the day, you can't get enough of that with your quarterbacks.
Dak's got a contract situation as well. How does he do with compartmentalizing everything?
Well, it's the first I heard of it. So that's how well he does. So focused on football.
David. We asked you a lot last year about just the difference you saw in Tolbert and how he approached the opportunity last year going into his second year. Now in his third year, building off of what he did last year, what have you seen from him in this offseason, and where do you kind of see Tolbert in his career arc at this time?
I would say number one, I think his confidence is taking he's taking leaps and bounds in that area, and I think anything that's consistent in this game, the more confident that the individual is, his physicality, his urgency, the understanding of detail, the competitiveness vastly increases. So he's always been a very bright young man. I go back to his rookie season, and we spent some extra time together on the Sunday off days, and he had every play written out. The detail of his note taking, everything's on a remarkable or on an iPad, and when you see a guy that still uses the tablet like yourself, the old school guy, I kind of have appreciation for that. So the fact that he wrote everything out, and so the mental part of it, he's always been an A1 student, so I've been from day one, but now seeing him apply it and just playing with a tremendous amount of confidence.
Jess.
DallasCowboys.com. Can you give an update on John Stevens Jr.?
Looks great. I think all three of those guys, those three young guys, and I don't think there's been a day since the end of the season. Frankly, they've been in there 4 days a week, working out together. So he looks great. They're all chomping at the bit, but they're just respecting the timeline of their injury rehab.
Back to Micah.
As it pertains to the improvement you guys see in the run game, how much do you think will lie in just schematically better marrying concepts of the run and pass game and having teams look more identical to defenses?
Well, I think like anything, we had the opportunity to go through what we did. How do you refine that and detail it more towards your players? Also, having the opportunity of knowing what your schedule is going to be now that we know when we're getting ready to play, because the teams that you're playing in the upcoming year do fall into your scheme evaluation process, because it isn't that we don't have an adjustment for everything that we think we're going to see. It's just you only have so much time. So what adjustments are you going to really, really focus on? So we'll definitely be much better in year two than we were in year one.
And, you mentioned the schedule. Your first three opponents are all uncommon. What comes with that in your view?
More work to do over summer. So.
All righty. Thank you, Mike.
Good. Thank you.